I searched the internet and saw, what is your I was into X before it was cool thing. And here are the responses. First, swine flu. I got it in February 2008 and was the third reported case worldwide. Number 2. Snowboarding. You couldn't even bring them to resorts. 1983. Third, Hulu in 2008. It used to be completely free, browser-based, with no ads. It was the only way for me to watch new episodes of Heroes every week. Fourth, I first saw The Simpsons when it was a sketch on the Tracy Ullman Show, and thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. I was ecstatic when I learned they were making a full cartoon of it. I watched it religiously up until about season 15 or 16 before I finally switched to every once in a while like we all eventually did. Number 5. Don't want to brag but I bought some N95 masks the second week of January. 6. I was out for the night back when I was 17/18/19. A friend and I went to a good pub in Oxfordshire where we thought we'd have a chance to pick up some girls. Ended up getting drunk, taking a knee and listening to the band who were pretty good. After their set we popped out of the pub for a quick joint. The band walked over and asked for a toke. Ended up spending the rest of the evening in the back of their van smoking weed and drinking. Turned out that the band was an unknown indie/rock group called Radiohead. A couple of weeks later Creep went international. Been a fan ever since. Edited to correct some piss-poor spelling. Edited again. Wow, never thought this would blow up anywhere near this much. Thank you to the generous people who have given me awards, especially the gold one. 7th, a Tesla stock at $28. Number 8. Home computing. I started in 1976. Number 9. Skateboards. 1964 or so. 10th, sent an electronic mail message from my car using an HP 48G calculator and a ham radio in 1993. That feat got published in a technical magazine. Nothing about that first sentence sounds cool, but I know the G is for gangster. 11th, I was sleeping with my ex long before everyone started doing it. 12th, I remember going around to stores trying to find all 6 issues of Infinity Gauntlet. I had read one while waiting on my mom to finish grocery shopping and I was hooked. That made me a dork in the early 90s. But now it's a $1 billion worldwide phenomenon. Fucking A. 13th, I got Instagram when it was a photography app back in 2011. 14th, I came across the Lonely Islands website when I was about 11 or 12, 02/03, before Andy Samberg or the other two, Akiva and Yorma, were big. They had a video where they spliced all these old NES games together into a skit and it was friggin' hilarious. Number 15. The How to Train Your Dragon books. Unfortunately they're still not cool yet. 16th, I was into memes when they were called demotivational posters. 17th, I watched Avatar, The Last Airbender when it was running live as an adult and people gave me for watching a children's cartoon. Edit. Since this comment is receiving a lot of attention, I want to talk about Lake Laogai. The term Laogai comes from Ldonggai Zhao, which translates into reform through labor, were actual Chinese forced labor prison camps. Anyone who was seen as a counter-revolutionist by the Chinese Communist Party was sent to Laogai where they are forced to produce goods that get exported to the West with all the profit going to the state. The camps also served to reform political and ideological thoughts of prisoners to line with the Communist Party's ideology. While the camps are no longer called Laogai, they still exist as prisons today. 18th, I had COVID-19 before the world went insane over it. 19th, I worked for a movie theater chain in 1996, and my boss got a VHS copy of Jesus vs. Santa Claus at some industry event. We watched that video a dozen times and laughed our asses off. About 6 months later South Park debuted on Comedy Central and we were very excited to see it had been picked up. 20th, Spotify. I remember I had to use a VPN to use it in my country. 21st, hating Bill Cosby. Had to do volunteer work at the local Jell-O museum for 30 hours to graduate high school in 2008. He used to be the spokesperson for Jell-O. I had to listen to him talk about Jell-O and old commercials for 30 hours on a loop. 22nd, I was in marching band with Markiplier, he was my trumpet section leader. It's weird seeing all these memes and all these famous people talking about a guy I was in high school with. 23rd, I remember when you could read every comic featuring Deadpool in under 2 hours. This was around the time I said an Iron Man movie, and they got some wash-up to play him. This'll go over worse than Daredevil. 24th, Bitcoin. Altcoins didn't exist when I got started with it. Mandatory disclaimer, no, I'm not a millionaire now. 25th, Elmer when he was just a minor Sesame Street character. We used to watch Sesame Street at my shared house full of college kids. Was a way to unwind. Sounds silly but it was a thing. I liked Elmo. He was pretty chill. Number 26. I probably had one of the first top 10 channels back in 2011 where I would post top 10 video stuff about games. I gave up cause it was too much editing and work, but few years later those top 10 channels became very popular. 27th, listening to Nirvana's Blue Song on student radio, NZ, in 1989 and thinking these guys are good. Number 28. When I was 4, I got inside our new refrigerator before they plugged it in. I was in there before it was cool. Number 29. Drinking Baileys from a shoe. 30th, Xbox Live. I was in the beta. It came on a CD that you had to install on your OG Xbox. Halo C on XP Connect was where the real action was, though. 31st, I read Fight Club because it was featured prominently in Borders. At the time, no one had heard of it or its amazing author. 32nd, Reddit. This account is rather recent but I discovered the platform in its infancy. It had less stuff back then but the discussions were better, and then, mainstream caught up. 33rd, one of my brothers graduated HS in 94, and one of his friends moved out to CA from NH. When he came back to visit he brought a cassette tape of early Sublime. 2 to 3 years later they got big. 5 to 6 years later everyone in junior high had that Sun t-shirt and were trying to say that they discovered the best band ever. A similar thing happened years later with the Dropkick Murphys, but I'm not really into them so I don't mind letting that one go. 34th, I used to record myself playing video games when I was like 5 or 6 when my parents gave me the VCR they replaced in the living room. Because of this early hobby, me and a friend did video game playthroughs on YouTube in 2007. We were certainly not the first but we were damn early. We also used a cap card straight out of the gate rather than doing the old recording the screen crap that looked terrible. 35th, I've followed the Joe Exotic saga for years. I'm one of, like, 20 libertarians in the state. 36th, I read The Hunger Games before it was popular. Number 37. Since my dad is a huge weeb, we bought a pack of 500 black medical masks because we saw people in Japan using it for sickness/allergies normally. A year later pandemic. Being a degenerate weeb pays off my dudes. Bonus story, once I wore one of these masks to school and the principal confiscated it because it was distracting even though I had a mild cough and sore throat. I bet you feel really stupid right now, Mr. Malavar. 38th, K-pop. Way before Psy and BTS. When Gangnam Style was being played in bars I was pretty shocked. I didn't expect it to go worldwide. Now the K-pop community is toxic and weird, and I don't understand how it got to the point it's at now. 39th, I was into vinyl before it made a comeback, and since nobody in the 90s or early 2000s wanted their records anymore, I basically got 500 plus records for free or nearly free. 40th, we weren't allowed to have cola much growing up but we drank a ton of seltzer water. I kept drinking it as an adult and people made fun of me for how weird it was because it's not a thing people casually drank. They thought it was either a mixer, like they acted as if I was drinking straight margarita mix, or something from a froufrou health store. Then La Croix came along, or whatever it was that made seltzer suddenly cool a few years ago. I mean I'm glad it's even more common with more flavors and stuff but I used to get teased so much for it. Like and subscribe and comment down below with your own answer. Till next time.